Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today we are talking about The Life of Chuck. This film is written and directed by Mike Flanagan based off of the novella from Stephen King, and it is about a life-affirming, genre-bending story based on Stephen King's novella about 3 chapters in the life of an ordinary man named Charles Krantz. This, of course, stars Tom Hiddleston as one of the variations of Charles Krantz in the movie, and it has a lot of the Mike Flanagan universe of actors in the film. Matthew Lillard's in a small role, Mark Hamill's in a small role, tons of people. I love the cast of this movie, but it's time to dive into it. Famously, this movie won the Audience Award at TIFF, I believe it was last year, which is typically a really great sign for like award season and everything, but it didn't get distribution last year. It got it this year, and they opened it in the summer for some reason. I thought that was an interesting choice, but the movie itself, the actual review, what do we think about the movie? I can only speak for myself here. I fucking love this movie. I thought it was exceptional. And, I've seen some criticism online about the movie, and a lot of the criticism I've seen, I completely understand where people are coming from, 100%. It's the type of criticism where you go, you know what? If that's how someone feels, I totally get it. However, I can only speak to myself, like I said earlier, and the emotional journey that this film took me on, immaculate. And it's a very emotional film. I'll admit, I cried during the movie. I cry in movies all the time, though. That's not new for me. But I'm a big fan of Mike Flanagan and his work. So I was, really looking forward to the film. However, I'm also a big fan of horror Mike Flanagan. Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, Oculus, which, by the way, is severely underwatched. Everyone needs to watch Oculus. But even within those horror films is great emotion, is great character. So seeing a movie that was very endearing and positive from Mike Flanagan was very interesting to see. And it worked really well for me. The structure of the movie, I'm not going to give too much away, but it goes backwards. It starts with Act 3 and ends with Act 1. And I think that was the perfect way to tell the story once you've seen the film. And I thought it was paced exceptionally. I won't lie. The movie is just under 2 hours. I think it's an hour and 50 minutes. And when each act would come up, like when we got to Act 1, it felt like I felt like I'd watched 20 minutes. I was like, what? We're already at the end of the movie? It was pretty insane. But I have to give it to the performances. I thought that every single actor in this film did a phenomenal job. The young version of Charles Krantz, who I'm going to shout out here if I can get their name, I believe it was Benjamin Pajak, did an exceptional job. Jacob Tremblay briefly plays one of the versions as well. Tom Hiddleston, Karen Gillan's in the film as well. Carl Lumbly was exceptional in the little screen time he had. There is a dance sequence in the movie that is not only probably going to be one of my favorite movie moments of the year, it's one of my favorite movie moments, period. I thought it was such an exceptional thing. And here's another thing I want to point out. Everyone knows Mike Flanagan, the writer, Mike Flanagan, the director. Almost nobody talks about Mike Flanagan, the editor. He edits most of the stuff he works on. This movie is edited phenomenally, and especially during that dance sequence when you get little glimpses as to why is this person dancing? You get some little glimpses in the editing as to what could cause maybe someone to do that. All you needed to know. And that dance sequence goes off without a hitch because of those little moments. I can't think of too many negatives on the film, other than the movie does have narration from Nick Offerman. And while it's great to hear Nick Offerman's voice, and you can tell the movie was shot to include the narration, which I thank God, because I hate when I watch a movie that has narration that clearly wasn't supposed to have it, and vice versa. But you can tell the movie shot with it in mind, so that's not a bother. But I almost feel that there was another version of this movie where you didn't need it. Also, the first act, or Act 3 in the beginning, while I loved everything I got, and I say it was paced wonderfully, even though I'm going to say what I'm about to say, is I think we should have spent less time in that act and more time in the other acts. But the only reason I say it was paced wonderfully is because when I didn't know what was happening in the beginning, the act felt perfectly paced on my first watch. But having watched it, looking back, and I'm not going to give away spoilers, but it's like, oh, I wish if we could take less time from there and more time somewhere else, I would do it. But as a movie, when you first watch it, when it was just kind of letting you in with the intrigue of what's going on, I thought it was paced wonderfully. So, not many complaints. Right now it's in my top 5 of the year. I don't know if it will stay there because we have a whole lot of movie year left to go. I adore this film. I thought it was wonderful. Nick, I've blabbed on long enough. I'm going to throw it over to you. What did you think of Life of Chuck?
I liked it. All right.
And that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, as always.
No, listen, the movie charmed me. I really enjoyed it. You'd heard so many rave reviews, and I've seen kind of the same reactions that you have online. And I think it's a movie that you either are kind of vibing with or you don't vibe with, and I think that's kind of where a lot of the discourse is rising from. But I mean, structurally, I really enjoyed how the movie was structured with the 3 acts kind of going in reverse. There was a little filmmaking thing with some aspect ratios with each of the acts, which I was a big fan of. And I agree with your sentiment about the pacing, the dancing scene. I thought Tom Hiddleston did a great job. I just wish we got a little bit more of him in the movie. And I think that kind of echoes with your take from Act 3 to put into one of the other acts. And not to say that the first act, Act 3, is bad. It kind of drolls on to the mystery too long, and it does work at the end of the movie, right, as you watch everything. But it's kind of just like it took too long to start giving me answers and was just posing way too many questions that I was like, okay, I need some plot. I need some story happening a little bit more now. Like, let's get on with it. And I think that's really kind of my only complaint on it. I thought everyone did a phenomenal job. Specifically, my personal shout outs would be to Mark Hamill and Sara as Chuck's grandparents.
Mia Sara, yes.
I thought that they did absolutely incredible. Tom Hiddleston's always great, and Jacob Tremblay, it's always great to see him popping up in things. But Benjamin Pajak was the real standout of the movie. He's the youngest version of Chuck that we see in the movie, and he's in the largest section of the movie. It really kind of does become a weird coming of age story in a way. And it just fully becomes his movie, and he anchors it so well. He handles the spotlight. I think it was just a great performance. I thought the script was really solid. Some of the existential musings and ramblings got a little long-winded, I'll admit. But in terms of pacing and editing, I found that it worked very well. And, it's one of those things I wasn't necessarily feeling the length of the musings, but kind of just like, all right, I got the point. Let's move on to the next thing. Which is more just a writing thing, I guess, going back to Stephen King. But I think Mike Flanagan's a great director, and I really liked this movie quite a bit. It is also in my top 5.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about the musings of existentialism, I'm currently going through a quarter-life crisis, so all that shit worked in spades for me, baby. But I can get why someone wouldn't enjoy that. I love the Flanagan monologue so much. Anyone who's kind of dove into his work knows just what a great monologuer he is when it comes to writing. I also want to point out the movie does play hopscotch with the line of endearing versus cheesy. And that line's going to be different for many people. To me, it rode the line pretty perfectly. But for others, there are going to be people saying like, this movie, the heart lost me, it just feels cheesy now. Like, I can totally see some people feeling that way. Or the structure of the film, going back to what you said, separate thing, when you said that it goes a little bit too long in Act 3, I totally agree once we figured out what was going on. But the weird part is, when we didn't know what was going on, I was loving it. I was like, where is this going to go? And then when it ended up where it was, that's when I was like, oh, I wish we did less then.
So it's not doing a favor on a rewatch kind of thing.
Yes. On a first watch, it was wonderful. But on a rewatch, I don't know how much patience I'll have for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and I do agree. It does ride the line of cheesy. It wears its heart on its sleeve. But, sometimes...
Objectively.
Sometimes I don't think that's a bad thing. And sometimes, that's what you need. And this was a movie that just... It worked for me, and I can definitely see the argument. I feel like I know a bunch of people that are going to think that it's way too cheesy, way too sappy, but it charmed me.
No, same. Like
that's all I have to say on it. The movie charmed me.
It does wear its heart on its sleeve, and I think this is a good example of that. And I think that, especially with just how the world can be, like sometimes you just need this positive movie to just come across your lap and be like, you know what? this is exactly what I needed. Like, I needed
We're gonna
this
have a good
movie.
time. Yeah.
Exactly. And I loved it. I loved the film. I'm definitely gonna watch it again. It was one of those movies where as soon as I left, I just texted in the family group chat, "The Life of Chuck, get on it." That's the one you got to go see. But guys, have you seen Life of Chuck? What did you think about it? Please let us know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.